Hello, hello, welcome everybody to another episode of Sarcasm and Orgasm. I'm Will. I just want to thank you for listening and tuning in, and welcome to the new page on YouTube. So, let's get to it. Let's talk about something, or let's discuss it. Let's think about it. Common sense. Do people really have it? No, they don't. Because it seems as though we now live in a world and society to where people cannot think for themselves as well as figure things out for themselves. And then they don't seem to get things like they're supposed to. They can't figure it out. We all want people to figure it out when we first tell them. They just get it instantly. But somehow it just doesn't work that way. Yes, yes, I know that some are a little slower than others. Yes, I do understand that some of them, well, not some of them, majority of people don't figure things out, such as you and I, right there on the fly. Everybody is not a quick thinker. Everybody cannot be able to learn on their feet and then go with the crowd. Like you can't be able to put somebody in a hostile situation and they not be able to figure it out like they're supposed to. Well, they should. I mean, yes, everybody is not built with the same brain. Everybody is not geniuses. But you know what? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the most simplistic things when it comes to this thing we call life. Yes, life is very different, is very strategic in the things that we do in everyday life, especially when you become a full fledged adult. We understand that books don't come with certain things when it comes to dealing with an adult life and adult situations. But normally, you should have some damn common sense in knowing how to do things. You should be able to figure things out as time goes on. But not everybody gets to have those type of traits. And it seems like that is a missing trait with a lot of people these days. I understand that common sense is not so common. Yeah, I get that. But you know what I don't get? Why do people make things harder than they really do? I know they say common sense is a virtue. I understand that they're saying being common shouldn't be so goddamn common. But your senses, the senses that we have, the senses that God gives us, all seven of them, I'm not going to name them because some of them I just don't think I use. But I think I use them more than others. But I think common sense should be eight when they say the seven senses that we're given. I think common sense should be eight. I really do. Because it is something that is not taught, but something that is learned. Learned on as you go, as you progress on through your adolescence, through your teens, through your adult, hell, even to when you become a fucking geriatric. I mean, old people got more common sense than young people, but then young people have more. Well, no, young people don't have anything when it comes to certain things because they're just fucking dumb themselves. Yes, I've been young, you've been young. Hell, we've all been young in some type of way, some type of situation. But we've all been young enough to where we've had God given common sense to be able to figure out things and know what works and what doesn't work. Yes, common sense. You're common enough to figure out to where your own senses is going to help you, is going to push you into situations and into adjustments to where you can figure it out on the fly. You know how coaches have to make in-game adjustments and they have to figure out how to beat something in order to win something? Yeah, that's kind of how what life is. You got to be able to figure out things and beat things to make it better for you. You have to be strategic. Very strategic. And in this game of life, you got to be strategic in a lot of matters. Whether it's figuring out what bill you're going to pay, how you're going to pay it, when you're going to pay it, and how much of it. It's common sense. Common sense is used in a lot of things. I mean, you go to work every day, 5 days a week, putting in your 40 hours. And then when you get off, you figure out, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to go out? Do I want to go home? Common sense. Common sense is used in much more okay, now I say it like this. Common sense is used in a much more daily activity than we actually realize. It's like one of those things we really take for granted that we just don't realize that we're doing. And we always ask, well, where's your fucking common sense? But people don't really put it into memory as to, well, am I using it in the right way? Because people don't use their common senses any type of way. They're always making light of it. They're always using it in non-crucial situations where you should always use it no matter what. So, like it says, common sense is not so practical. Yeah, it's not, because it's not being taught the way it should. It should be used in everyday life situations, especially when you become a young adult. When you like graduate from high school and you make that advancement, you got to figure out, well, am I going to go to college or am I going to be a full-fledged adult? You got to have some type of indication on which route you want to go. Yeah, you can do both, but one is going to be a little bit more challenging than the other. Going to college, that's just saying, oh, I'm still going to be able to take a break from life. I'm still going to be able to, you know, live, but then also experience life in a more open setting, per se. But common sense, yes, it's not so common because people are not using their best judgment when it comes time to use it. You have to be more situational with what you're doing and how you're doing it. So, common sense, it's practical. It's just how practical are you to use it? You got to remember, everybody is not on the same bus. I mean, everybody's not on the same book. Everybody's not even on the same page. But when it comes down to it, are you using it as your best attribute or your worst? Because we all have, I wouldn't say we all have the same attribute, but we all have a set of attributes that we use, whether more than less. It just depends on how you're really using them into the advantages that's going to affect as well as benefiting you. So, I ask you this. Common sense is practical, but how practical is it to you? Just think about it. Common sense is practical, just how practical is it to you? So, remember, you can find me on Sarcasm and Orgasms on my podcast on all podcast platforms. Subscribe, let me know what you think. You can also hit me up on my Instagram as well as my Twitter at Sarcasm and Orgasms. So remember, I'm Will, and I'll talk to y'all soon.